and traveling in time. On his stardust spaceship, fighting villains and crime. The Doctor Who reviews the classic and the new. The hero to the rescue at Chat Schmat.
Hello everybody, it's us again. It's another episode of Chat Schmat, and we hope you like our specially commissioned brand new theme tune for the Who review episodes. We won't get copyright strikes on that, but there was the one that we did about the DVDs, or the Blu-rays, which featured Sylvester McCoy and also Colin Baker. We used a version of the Kev McCulloch theme, which we had permission to do, but it still got copyright strikes, so that video will never be monetized. But you know, because we've got 4 subscribers, we'll be fine. But you know, welcome to another episode, and with me today, I'm not by myself. I'm here in the TARDIS. So I just want to explain if there's any kind of weird technical stuff. You know, there's a lot of stuff going on, atmospherics and things. I can't really tell you because the doctor swore me to secrecy, but if you see any technical glitches, that's what it is. It's totally not Zoom at all. And with me today, not in this TARDIS, but he's in his own little world, it's Neill.
That's how I feel at most times.
Well, and we're all in our own world of Doctor Who at the moment because, you know, as a fan of the show, people always complain about things, and whenever the Wilderness years were there, as fans, anything to do with Doctor Who, and you were there, and you were looking at it and buying it and whatever else, we're so lucky that we actually have got the TV series, and that the TV series is coming out, but people will never be satisfied. And look, everyone has an opinion. That's what we're here for. You know, we're expressing an opinion as well, but I find that there's a lot of well-known, I don't know what you would call them, reviewers, is that the term, who seem to have hissy fits when things don't go their way.
I thought you were going to say it is to us vitriol.
Well, I guess that's what I'm getting at.
I think every fandom has vitriol, toxicity.
I'm glad you clarified what you said there. It sounds like something else. Actually, that's a segue to maybe not, but it's a segue to, I was going to say something here. I'm going to mention this, and I'm only going to mention it here simply because in our previous episodes of the Who review stuff, one of the episodes, of course, was when what was it called now, the Judoon episode, where Captain Jack reappeared, and obviously, you know, as fans of Captain Jack, it was good to see him back on the show. But you know, there is an elephant in the room in these things. We're not really a so-called drama channel here. You know, we are here to try and be as positive as we can about things. Of course we're going to complain, of course we're going to moan and bitch and moan, that's what fans do, but we're not here to take anybody down, or more than that, to put our 2 pence worth in on something we know nothing about. So what I'm going to say to you here is we're aware of all the stuff going on with Noel Clarke and the John Barrowman situation. I am aware of this. Some more atmospherics coming through there. I am aware of this particular situation, both of us are, but we really feel that it's not the kind of topic to go in depth on in here.
And also, I kind of don't want to get bogged down with the actors' private affairs. I want to talk about the characters in the show.
Yes, so just in case you're wondering, you know, we're not a gossip or drama channel or anything like that, so we're not really. That doesn't mean we won't give controversial opinions or anything like that.
And also, if we weren't critical, you probably say that Time Flight was the greatest piece of television on Doctor Who ever.
Of course it was. Let's get down to what we are going to talk about in this episode, and namely that if we look at the Jodie as the current Doctor, and people, there are a lot of people out there, and we've mentioned this before, where there's a lot of I don't want to say toxic fans, because they're not all toxic. That is an element of it. But there's people out there who feel they're owed something by watching the show. And the only thing that I personally say that I would feel that I was owed was an entertaining, 45 minutes, an hour, whatever length the show is going to be. And to that degree, perhaps Jodie's time. If you'll pardon the pun, as the Doctor. Her time as the Doctor I feel she was let down. There are a lot of people out there that say, it was because Jodie's a woman and she's no good, she's rubbish as a Doctor, blah, blah, blah. You're entitled to your opinion. But I think, from where I'm coming from, I think she was a great choice, but I feel that she was let down by some of the writing and maybe even some of the direction, because you've got someone there and you've got to help them with their performance. And I think a lot of the time, a lot of directors and things kind of don't do that. They just leave it to the actor. And I think she did find her feet, but I do think some of the material did let her down, although there was some really good moments. So you've got Jodie comes along, Chris Chibnall's the showrunner. People don't like the first series that he did, and there's some people out there who literally hated it and said, no, this isn't for me. And so when he came back and addressed some of the things that people were complaining about, whether he did that deliberately or not, it's not for me to say. But there was some really, really great improvements when she came back. But then, of course, he undermined it with the Timeless Children story. There was a relief at the announcement of Russell T Davies coming back with fans, and then we basically were told that there's going to be, because of COVID and everything, there's going to be 6 episodes plus 3 specials, or 6 episodes plus 2 specials. We don't. It's not been. There's varying information out there, so I don't know what the correct version of that is, but that's where we're at. So we've got people who hate Chibnall and are welcoming with open arms Russell T Davies back in as showrunner, but you've got all that situation happening. But in between time, you've got people saying, the BBC should lose their licence fee, blah blah blah, I hate this show, it should be cancelled. Is that fair? You don't like a show, so you want the whole company to suffer?
Well, it's interesting about you said about Russell T Davies. I remember a lot of fans being relieved when Russell T Davies left, but yet we also have to be thankful that he is the man who brought Doctor Who back.
And and the Moffat thing, when they were like saying, bring Moffat in, and then when Moffat didn't do what they wanted, they were like, get rid of Moffat, bring Russell T Davies back, or whatever.
The thing is, I liked Moffat's era, but you're talking about Jodie Whittaker not getting not really getting the best scripts. Well, to me it's nothing to do with the fact that she's a female. That's not or a woman. I should say it's nothing to do with her being a woman. But because if you look back at the past, Colin Baker was a good Doctor, but he did not get great scripts, and some people would argue that Peter Capaldi didn't have the best scripts in his era either, but they're still a good Doctor. So there are people who use that argument before.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things, as with all these things, all these discussions, people are entitled to their opinion. You want to watch a show, you're going to comment on it, that's what we do. But I think what differs this time around, the last few years, is the social media has become this platform for people to just be which in a lot of ways is good. You know, it's a good thing to have a better voice and to be more vocal and to get involved in discussions. But the problem I have with it is that it's, as you were saying, and I'll put this to you in a second, is it kind of oversteps the mark in some ways, in that if you don't have the opinion of certain people, then you're wrong. You know, there's this idea that if you don't agree with the majority of people, you're wrong. And unless you're talking about a fact, like a piece of information, if it's an opinion, it's not wrong, because it's entertainment and you can take on board and feel and enjoy or not enjoy whatever you want. But where social media comes in, and this is what I want to ask you, is, you know, has that, as much as it's a good thing, become the sort of what would you say, like a catalyst for all the sort of toxic behaviour with fans now, not just with Doctor Who but with other shows? Do you think that's fair, or what do you think about that?
On one hand, I think it's good because it brings fandom together, because they can talk about episodes instantly, and they can give their comments and reviews, you know, instantly. But on the flip side, we are getting a bunch of people who are basically complaining about everything, and the one that gets me is looking back at older shows and taking offense to the older episodes. What people need to realize is that every era of show or film, a film or show is a zeitgeist to the time period in which it was made. So seeing Doctor Who evolve from 1963 to today, obviously, like the James Bond films, each movie is going to be a reflection of the time in which it's in, and I believe these people who are complaining about everything or complaining that someone's wrong on a past show need to watch it from the view of they need to view it in the context of the time that it was made, and actually appreciate that this is how it was. It wasn't great, but we are better now than what we were, and that's how we want to take it.
But what about in not so much even the looking at classic Who, but I mean even just the case of people going on to Twitter and bitching about how they didn't have, like, for example, if you use the James Bond thing, there were people complaining that there wasn't any blood in the gun barrel, you know, stuff like that. Or they say stuff like in Doctor Who, well, Jodie wasn't the Doctor because she didn't have her Doctor moment here, there, or anywhere, or, you know, all these different things, and instantly, like, complaining to the BBC online and other fans and saying, no, you're wrong, Jodie's a woman, she's the bestest, you know, and back and forth, and not really, it's more about, you know, I'm right and you're wrong, rather than saying, okay, well, I don't agree with you. You know, you might like Jodie, but she's not for me, or the other way around. You know, you don't like Jodie, but I think she's great. You know.
Well, the first thing I like to say is, although my mum is not a fan of the Doctor being a woman, my mum says she's not going to watch Doctor Who again until he's a male again. I have no problems with the Doctor being. I personally have no problems with the Doctor being a woman, because they have established that regeneration can allow a gender change. But I like to see it as an opportunity to widen the pool of casting choices. For me, it means that the next Doctor can be either male, female, white, or person of colour. There's no limits to who the next Doctor can be. So in one respect, it's great, but I don't want every single Doctor from the future to be a woman. I want it to be woman, male, mix it up.
Hi there. If you've been enjoying our content, we'd be extremely grateful if you could like the video and comment. We're always happy to hear, interested to see your take on things. But more importantly than that, if you can subscribe, and if you can also click on the bell thingy, because that will let you know when the video is there. And we're trying to get to 100 subscribers, so if you can see your way to, you know, helping us out there, that would be amazing.
I do like Jodie as a Doctor. Is she my favourite Doctor? No. But when you've got 14 faces, and I'm counting John Hurt's 4 Doctor, and this here, And if you want to say 15 with the Ruth incarnation of the Doctor, or she's referred to as she's a Doctor, but I don't know where to put her because she seems to be an anomaly in the canon of Doctor Who, if that makes sense. So
well, I'm hoping because there was some information. Now, obviously, this is. I'll see if I can find it and put it on screen here. But there was someone, anonymous source, who claimed to work for the BBC in Wales, saying things like that the BBC is no longer going to be making Doctor Who in Wales, that it's been moving to London, and that the other thing they were saying was that the all of Chibnall's storylines will tie up and finish when Jodie finishes her run. So what I was going to say was, do you think that Dr. Ruth, as I call her, Jo Martin, do you think more will be explained about her, or do you think they're going to just leave her out of it?
First, the way Chibnall's leaving, I have a feeling they're going to drop it, personally, but or they'll attempt to close it off. But personally, I think the Timeless Children arc has opened up a can of worms. Now, there's no problem with wanting to shake up canon. I mean, Doctor Who's been going for almost 60 years now, and it's okay to, but you gotta be true to the history of the show as well. Now,
well, do you think that the depiction of the Doctor not even being from Gallifrey, do you think that was a step too far?
Well,
or do you think? I mean, what was the Cartmel master plan trying to imply about the Doctor? Was it trying to imply that he was more?
Well, I think there was hints that in the Cartmel master plan that the Doctor was one of the three, along with Omega and Rassilon. So
yeah,
and it was this kind of indication that he was more than just another Time Lord.
Mm-hmm.
It was try to add a bit more mystery into the Doctor.
Yeah,
but I feel like it. I don't like the idea of it. Thinking, that he's actually older. He's like a rebel from the Time Lord, but yet they're trying to imply that he's kind of like someone who actually was used for the genetic pool of the Time Lord society, which really is a big game changer, and it's something that you're either going to have to say is who were messing with you and it was all a misdirection, or you've really changed the whole lore of the past 50 plus years of Doctor Who. Now, it doesn't change the kind of the Doctor. I mean, you don't go back and watch classic Doctor and, it doesn't take away those ones. They're still very much all the Doctors. I don't feel like it's Chris Chibnall has undone everything.
They do mention in some of the episodes later on, he's the first one, this is the second one,
Yeah, but also it's also kind of implying the Brandon Morbius factor in there, because if you remember Brandon Morbius, there's all these faces that were the writer, our Holmes, Bill Hinchcliffe, all wearing period costumes, and at the time it was meant to represent prior incarnations of the Doctor before Hartnell. Now later on, Doctor Who, they obviously established that Hartnell was the first incarnation of the Doctor, the first Doctor ever. But they kind of tied this Timeless Children thing into the Brandon Morbius faces, so there is an aspect that Chibnall is trying to retcon that little thing in Brandon Morbius, which just kind of got retconned previously when they confirmed that Hartnell was the first Doctor. But then again, Brandon Morbius contradicts the three Doctors, because when they're picking the first two Doctors out of their time space to help the third Doctor, they do refer to the Hartnell as the earliest Doctor.
Yes, that's what I was getting at. Really, that's what I was referring to.
So there has been in the history of the show there has been a lot of contradictions. So in one aspect, the Timeless Child arc is no different than one of the many conflicting continuity things you've had over the years on Classic Who. So, but in other times it feels like it feels like it's kind of going in a totally different direction than say what Moffat and Russell T Davies were doing. But then again, also some people think that Chibnall is coming across as a Russell T Davies Mark II, because when Doctor Who came back, remember Russell T Davies had destroyed Gallifrey after the Time War. Moffat brought it back, and what does Chibnall do? Destroys it again.
Yeah.
So it feels like Chibnall's trying to be like a Russell Mark II, and because he has been undoing a lot of the stuff that Moffat did, and for me, Moffat did some of the more old school stuff, that I liked from the other era.
Yeah, I mean, and the other thing as well is, I mean, obviously, with a show like that, and you're keeping it continuous. One of the things that they were saying in this, what would you call it? Like not really a statement, but someone who used to work there was basically trying to say that the show is going to be rebooted, in terms of it's not going to be continuous, as in directly connected to the Jodie era. Now, obviously, this was done. This was said before Russell T Davies was announced, that he was coming back. So I would imagine that if he thought that was a rubbish idea, and him being a fan of the show himself, I don't think he'd be the kind of guy that would come in and railroad.
Russell T Davies would not do that. One thing is that when after he came back, I do remember feeling like they're going to reboot it all. But as the show progressed, as the revival of the show continued, they slowly brought all the elements of the Classic Who back. So, because I think Russell T Davies didn't want to do what the movie did, because the problem, as much as I enjoy the Paul McGann TV movie, the problem with the movie is, for an audience who'd never seen Doctor Who before, they're lost, because if you've never seen Sylvester McCoy as the Doctor before, it's hard to be invested in the McCarthy who gets shot like 50 minutes into the movie, and then another 10 minutes before he regenerates into Paul McGann. Now it's for an audience who's never seen Doctor before, that's and there's a lot of info dump in the TV movie. So I think for American audience who'd never seen Doctor Who before, it was probably too much information to take in. Whereas Russell slowly built them up over the few years. It was a couple years before the Master came in there. He had a few episodes before the Daleks came back. It was all slowly built up, and then it was by towards the end of the Davies era, you started having faces of past Doctors in the show. So Russell T Davies, I think, slowly built it up, but I think we're at a point in the revival that the current fandom are as involved with the classic era as they are of the modern era than they were when Russell T Davies starts. So I don't think it's going to be a wee bit say. I think Russell T Davies is going to go in with a bit more confidence than he did when it came back, because the show has catapulted extraordinarily in the last few years, in the last decade since he left the show. And also he has admitted that the landscape has changed. In fact, I think he's even admitted he felt like he was ahead of the curve when he was doing Torchwood and the Sarah Jane Adventures, because he was kind of predicting the current trend of spin-off shows that Disney Plus are doing for Star Wars and Marvel.
Yeah, and let's not forget he brought back Sarah Jane Smith, of course, in the show, and then K9.
But he slowly built up. And I think that's the problem in the movie. I think the Paul McGann movie tried to do it all in 1 hour and a half, and I think it's like too much information.
We have to remember too that with the return of Russell T Davies, that we were talking about this before, that Christopher Eccleston is back doing the audios in Big Finish, and a lot of people were thinking, maybe he'll come back to the TV show, but whatever the issue was between him and Russell T Davies, we don't really know for sure what went on there, but there's obviously some issue.
Although on the interview he did for Doctor Who magazine recently, when he came back to do the audios, there is that although he's happy to come back to do the audios because of how the fans, because of his interaction with fans at recent cons, he was not open to talking about TV. He didn't want to talk about the past. Apparently he's not an actor who likes to reflect on the past, so he probably didn't think much about his year until he realised there's a lot of fans who actually did like his year as the Doctor. Mm-hmm. That was what brought him back to the audio.
Well, I think one of the things he said was, or one of the things that was mentioned was that Russell T Davies was announced that he was leaving. Before the episodes had aired, and that annoyed him. I think he said that. I'll double check that, but I think that's what he was saying. And I think that's what annoyed him, was the fact that it was taken out of his hands then, which I guess, you can kind of say, well, that's fair enough, but no, it would have been interesting to have him in the 60th anniversary.
I mean, he may still appear. People were just speculating because of the.
Yeah.
I know. He did get off another one. The team as well.
Yeah. So we don't really know the full story there. So, as you say, it's speculation. Now there was information out there that he put out there himself, as well. Various bits and pieces that we found online. My one question I would like to ask, and I would like to say to the viewers and listeners of this podcast, is put this in the comments. Where do you see the show going? Do you see the show taking a completely new route, completely different way of telling stories, or do you think it's going to be pretty much Russell T Davies part 2, where he's going to continue on with his own style, but he's going to update it, and the casting will be different? That's what we want to know. What do you think? What do you think is going to happen? This little bit of discussion here is just thoughts on the current TV landscape, and also how it will be reflected in who the Doctor is going to be. In other words, the casting of the Doctor. There's always a selection of people that they've got. Every time the Doctor is up for renewal, there's always a list of people. Sometimes some of them are new, some of them have been on the list for a number of years. Now there are a lot more people than I've got listed here, but I'll go through the list that I've got here. But I will say that it has been announced that Ollie Alexander, his agent, ruled out on social media his involvement because he's focusing on music. So he was one of the front runners, but his agent has come out to say no, it's not him. He's not going to be the Doctor. But other people that were mentioned, Michaela Cole, if that's how you pronounce her name, she was from the E4 series Chewing Gum, and she's been in a few other things as well. Vicky McClure from Line of Duty, she's another one that's a favourite. Phoebe Waller-Bridge, of course, she's in a list for everything now, but she's there. Chris Marshall from My Family, Death in Paradise, he's another one that crops up. Also, I don't have it listed here, but Michael Sheen was another one that was listed. Jo Martin, aka Dr. Ruth, she's another one. She's my pick. And then Matt Berry, of course, for anyone who doesn't know, Matt Berry was in The Mighty Bush, Toast of London, Garth Marenghi's Dark Place, The IT Crowd, loads and loads of things. He's another one. Now this one I like. This next one I like. I don't think it's ever going to happen, but it would be brilliant. Helena Bonham Carter. I just think that would be a brilliant choice. And then the one that was seems to be a hot favourite at the moment is Lydia West, who is in a show called Years and Years, which is, I think, that Ollie Alexander's in that show as well. It's not a show that I've seen, so I can't comment. And It's a Sin, which is Russell T Davies' Channel 4 series. So that's what makes me think she's more likely to be in it than some of the others, because she's worked with him recently.
Hi, it's Jonny here, and I'm just breaking into this episode because I've got a news flash for you. That's right, yeah, the Zoom cut off before we could conclude the podcast. So we had a little bit of discussion there about the doctors. We will be continuing that discussion and maybe have some more news for you in the finale of the Doctor Who Flux series, which is currently airing. When the Flux is over, we will do a podcast about the whole thing, and in that episode we'll also include our final thoughts on who is likely to be the Doctor, because this got cut off. So very sorry about that. As you can tell from the podcast, the technology was against us that day. But yes, and so that leaves me here in this final audio ending to say thank you very much for joining me and for joining Neill for this brand new Doctor Who review. We'll have more of these scattered throughout the series. Keep an eye on the website chatschmat.com, and also the podcast itself is available on YouTube through chatschmatyoutube.com, and we'd be also most grateful if you would like, comment and subscribe. But from me once again, and from Neill, it's goodbye and thank you for watching and listening. See you next time. Bye.